Do you imagine if Ozzy came out and emceed that gig? It's like, all right, we're going to listen to Rush.
What are you doing on stage?
So we're two huge Rush fans. We've got tickets to see the band live next year as part of the 50-something tour. In the lead-up, we're doing this show called Road to Rush, where we listen to every single Rush album one per week and share our thoughts. This week, we are not reviewing a Rush album. We are reviewing a Rush concert film. We are reviewing Rush live at the NEC in Birmingham, England in 1988.
Concert film.
Yeah. What did you think going into it?
Yeah, I've got to admit, besides the haircuts, it sort of solidified a lot of the tracks for me.
Okay.
It made me experience them in a completely different fashion, you know.
And I will say, are you a fan of concert films before we...
No.
Okay.
And this was not, but this was an eye-opener for me. This made me want to watch it more.
Really?
Just because it's not what I like.
Okay. I'm a big concert film enjoyer, and I'd seen clips from this show before, but I'd never watched the full thing before.
Same, yes.
And it was really, you know, this is the show they use in that Classic Albums documentary about moving pictures. They show segments of this live of performance, and yeah, it was a mixed bag. I think there were some amazing bits in there. There were some not so amazing bits in there, like the little sketches and all those little bits of animation, which, let's be honest, haven't aged very well. But there were some great moments of joy. The live version of Subdivisions was absolutely banging.
But to keep it as an experience at the end of the 80s, when live performances was such a key thing,
Yeah.
you know, it really did drag you in and get you involved.
And we have to talk about the haircuts.
Yes,
that's the most striking thing with this entire concert
distinct
film.
lack of glasses.
Yeah. Geddy Lee's mullet during this. Was it even a mullet? Because he's got a mullet and he's got a ponytail as well.
WWW. I can't remember what it was. What was it back then? What was it?
World Wrestling Federation. It was the same as the Wildlife.
WWF.
Yeah.
See, pandas weren't involved back then.
Yeah.
See, that's when all that was very big, you know,
Yeah.
and what do you call it? Gladiators and so on.
Yeah. Absolutely bitching version of Limelight.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, that was the
100%,
early highlight. That was the bit where I was really zoned in on it and focused. A very well filmed concert film, you know, lots of nice close-ups. So Neil Peart didn't tell the camera person to fuck off quite so much, so we actually had some good shots of him, because there's a distinct lack of Peart footage. When you watch the early footage from the early shows, there's never a camera on him.
No, it's true. And I'll tell you what, I've always wondered with Peart, there's so much drum wobble. I've always wondered, why would he put up with it? But in this, it wasn't the case. There's so many things. You see so much drum wobble, but no, he dealt with it very well.
And once again, an amazing live version of Marathon.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
You know,
well, as you know, I'm not the biggest fan of live things, but if you were to have played me that at the earlier days of me liking Marathon, then yeah.
I liked a lot of the songs on this better than I did on the studio version, particularly the songs from Power Windows and those albums which are really kind of hyper 80s and MIDI and have samples in. It kind of just seemed to work a little bit better watching it in a live concert format than it did on the record. Yeah.
More power.
And it felt more real, as it were. And there was something about seeing them play the parts for real that just kind of solidified how much fun it was.
Of course, absolutely, yeah. And as I say, there's certain tracks, just the key moments, like Lock and Key. Key moments, just you could really feel it because they were playing it live.
Yeah.
Even though you could in the studio sort of version, you needed the live version to solidify that.
One of the things which was quite funny about it was listening to any of the songs that have keyboards in and hearing that Geddy Lee was using the contemporary patches of the day, specifically in Tom Sawyer, where the dee-doo. It was using like this panpipe sound. It sounded absolutely wank, didn't it? Let's be honest. It was not a good sound for Mr. Lee.
Rather wank.
Yeah, but it was nice to hear that he was using the sounds of the day on all the keyboard parts.
Mr. Lee.
And it was funny watching him behind that massive set of keyboards, you know, because later on in the sort of later footage, he just has one keyboard in front of him, doesn't he, and a set of bass pedals, but he was surrounded by a mountain of synths, and he was kind of locked off in one position for a lot of the show behind the synths.
But I feel like they were trying to entertain. Their key was 80s over the top entertainment rather than just playing the best of. Like you've said before, I don't feel that this was a best of live album. This was just what they were playing at the time.
This has a reason to exist. It captures a moment in time. It's the late 80s. Lifeson is on fire during this show. All three of them are on fire. Geddy Lee's vocals were really strong during this show as well. Like he had the energy about him. He had the vibe about him. And I must say my favourite part of the whole thing was that bitchin' medley at the end of 2112 into La Villa Strangiato. That was the best bit of the whole show, because it just worked really well, didn't it?
And I wasn't expecting it.
Yeah, same.
As I say, after seeing all the snippets of this sort of live gig and then actually seeing it all amalgamate into one show.
Yeah.
It's actually refreshing to see how it should have been, you know.
And I think, you know, what is the purpose of a concert film? A concert film is supposed to make you feel like you're at that show. And this one does.
It does, yeah.
This one, it doesn't feel like it's a film and it's overproduced, even though the sketches are a little bit weird. There was that one sketch with that guy in the prison cell, like, why am I here? And I was like, this is a bit odd. I'm not really sure.
But I didn't get it. Like,
I didn't get it either.
Is it weird for the sake of weird?
Yeah. Or the drawing of those faces coming together at the start of the show. I wasn't really sure about that, to be honest. But
it's Pomo.
But you felt like you were there. You felt like you were there. What was the best track, do you think?
I don't know what. Well, to be fair, the medley. Yeah, absolutely. I can't say any more, but yeah, 100%. It showed it in a completely different realm that I could have experienced before.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that I was sat in my rocking chair with the full visual experience, you know.
And you can imagine back in the day before the internet, you know, if you had this on VHS, you know, if you were a Rush fan and there wasn't easy access to footage or all these other things and you bought this, you'd be buzzing, wouldn't you? It's got everything you want as a Rush fan on there. It's got the classics from the early years. It's got a good selection of the 80s stuff. And
loads of compression.
Yeah. And it's just a great watch. Neil Peart's haircut. That's a haircut you can set your watch to in that concert film. You can set your watch to that. No, I think YYZ with the Peart drum solo halfway through. Something halfway through where he's chugging all those like big band samples, it kind of made me laugh a little bit. You know, when all those kind of sax and orchestra samples happen. Yeah. But it was just, I just lost myself in it, and I thought it was really fun.
Well, that's it, taking advantage of the technology at the time, but not only for their indulgence, but for the sake of the song.
Yeah.
And it translates live.
Yeah.
Which is something I struggle to experience, you know.
Yeah. What are you giving it out of 10, Rush Live in Birmingham?
I've got to say, I can't remember what the other live albums were, but this was the best so far.
Yeah.
Purely, I think, I don't know, 9 tacks out of 10.
Okay. I'm going to give it 10 comedy sketches out of 10 because it's an essential document for what the band was like at that moment in time.
I like that, essential document. I like that phrase,
Because with the earlier live albums, of course, there's a bit of footage from the 1981 one. There's no footage from Old Worlds of Stage. Because you've got the visual element of this one, if someone said, what was Rush like live? This is what you'd watch with them, wouldn't you?
Why Birmingham? Why the NEC? Why did they film that one? Why wasn't it like, you know...
Must be Geddy Lee's a Black Sabbath fan. It must have been something like that.
Yeah.
Do you imagine if Ozzy came out and emceed that gig? It's like, all right, we're going to listen to Rush.
What are you doing on stage?
What did you think of Rush Live in Birmingham 1988? And were you actually there? Let us know in the comments below. We will be back next week with Rush's 1989 album, Presto.